So verse 7 ends with Jacob again comparing the father and God, right? Their father Laban with God, right? Like in the previous time, the father he's not favoring anymore, but God is with him. And now this time is that the father has changed his wages all the time, but God has been or did not permit him to harm him. Okay, so even though the wages change all the time, God did not permit him to harm him. So you see how he keeps on. Yes, Laban, yes, he's trying to do this. Yes, Laban did all of that. But ultimately, above all this stands God. God is looking out for. So again, make the right choice. He's kind of goading them into making just one specific kind of a choice. The choice he wants them to make, and that is to agree with him and go with him. Verse 8. If he said, the spotted shall be your wages, then all the flock bore spotted. And if he said, the striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. Now, according to what they agreed on, it would be the striped and the flock, and all of these guys would be his. Okay, so is Jacob, I guess, most likely kind of taking certain things apart here and trying to make it sound as if our God with him was more miraculous than it already is. He's trying to make more out of a miracle than a miracle. He's trying to make more out of a miracle which is already a miracle. Okay? Yeah, in the conclusion part, I will speak about that whole idea of his miracles and how it all work. Right? I mean, not how miracles, but how we as well do this kind of. We want to make the work of God seem more miraculous than by lying often about things happening. Anyhow, by blowing things out of proportion. Right, verse 9. Thus God has taken away the livestock of your father and given to me. Okay, so again, God is the one doing this. God took away from the father. Because of the father cheating all the time. Because of how the father is now looking at him. So that is why Laban can't do anything. Because God is above all and God is taking care of him. Verse 10. In the breeding season of the flock, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the goats had mated with the flock, with striped, spotted, and mottled. So, like his son after him, dreamer, Joseph the dreamer, right? He is now as well seeing this dream of the goats. Is it telling the truth? Maybe. Clearly he is, like everybody else before, trying to use a right way of politically motivating or speaking, saying certain things in a certain way so as to attain his goals. Like the servant before, that came to Laban, like Jacob is doing here. It's difficult to know if he is just saying things here, to say things so as to try and change their minds to go with him, to prove his point, or if this really happened. Now, I mean, it might have really happened. I don't think it changes anything in any direction, really. So, if it happened or didn't, it's not going to change anything in this case. If he really saw this, if it's just embarrassing, maybe he saw, because we know he did see certain dreams before. So yeah, that doesn't really change anything. So the fact he's trying to explain that he saw this in the dream, this is how it's supposed to be done, and therefore he did it this way. Like God gave him a warning of what he ought to do. So like Noah before, God said, but you need to do, and he did. And God and he survived. So in this case, maybe then God's saying through this dream that this is what you need to do, and he did as God commanded him, and it happened. And so his flock grew, because he did as God commanded him. You can maybe see draw this conclusion from as well these dreams of what is going on here. Okay? Like God did for Leah when Jacob didn't love her, hated her, and by closing Rachel's womb and giving children to Laban, to Leah, right? So in other words, God sees the oppressed and is helping the oppressed. not helping the oppressor. In this case, the oppressor is Jacob, and the oppressor was Laban, so God gave the dream to Jacob so that he knows how to be not oppressed by Laban, his father-in-law. So if all is that like that, then it explains as well why he had this dream, why he said certain things in a certain way. And what God is doing is just what God normally does by being for the oppressed against the oppressor. The same way God is for the orphan, and the same way God is for the widow, because they are more often the ones being oppressed. And that is as well a lesson for us to be like God for the oppressed and not for the oppressor. Okay, more often than not, we are for the oppressor and not for the oppressed. Unlucky. Verse 11. Then the angel of God said to me in a dream, Jacob. And I said, here I am. Okay, so again a dream, he saying, here I am. Okay, and see, this different than when Isaac asked here, and there he just said I am. And now in this case, here I am. So there's a different in that. So the angel speaks, he answers. Verse 12. And he said, lift up your eyes and see all the goats that mate with the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled. For I've seen all that Laban is doing to you. Okay, so here the angel is giving an example. Okay, like he saw Leah being hated. He saw now as well that God knows everything, right? So he knows what is going on, and he's not going to be just standing by and do nothing about it. He's not going to let Laban the oppressor get away with it. The deceiver deceiving. Like he himself, when he deceived his brother, he didn't get away with it. He had to leave his family. He had to flee alone to a country he knew nothing about. Verse 13. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillow and made a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this land and return to the land of your kindred. So here God is informing Jacob that, or reminding him of what happened at Bethel, right? They're coming down, the angels, God standing on the top of the ladder. He anointed the pillar there, we've seen it in the previous chapters, and so he is reminding him of what happened there 20 years before. He is reminding him of the promise he made, and so therefore he's now saying, go back. Right? This is the same God, I was with you all the time, go back. So God is saying to Jacob, but remember Jacob at this moment is telling this to his wives, so as to as well impress on them that this is the right thing to do, because God is with him, like God's always. And if he doesn't do it, then God's not going to be with him. Then there's not going to be blessings on the flock. They will lose the flock, they lose everything. So staying, they lose everything. So the only really thing they can do is going. They might lose everything, but this is, if they stay, they're sure going to lose it all. Verse 14. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, is there any portion or inheritance left to us at our father's house? Okay, so now Leah and Rachel themselves start thinking about what Jacob said, and they look at how their father treated them, and how their father treated them, and asking this rhetorical question. So is there anything left? Is there anything of our inheritance left there, right in our father's house? Is there anything that, look at everything we're supposed to get. Did we get anything? Are we going to get anything from it? Or is it all ultimately just for our brothers? Where's the dowry that the wives ought to get? Verse 15. Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has indeed devoured our money. Right? So they look at their father's attitude towards them. They sold us. They sold us to Jacob for what? For 14 years of work. Right? And what is left of all that? Right? Where's the dowry? There's nothing of the dowry left. There's nothing for them. They were supposed to, as the daughters, get the dowry from the father, but there's nothing for them. And where is it? What is squandered it? Now remember, I did mention earlier, that when the servant of Abram came there, he gave Laban a lot of things, right? And when Jacob came, he said Laban's flock was small. So the question is, what happened to all the stuff that Abram gave to him? Abram's servant gave to him. So the same question is they ask here, where's our dowry? There's nothing left. But I think from that you can draw a conclusion that Laban actually was good at squandering things. Right? He loved money, but like a gambler, for example, they love money, but they lose a lot of it. They always lose money. So maybe this is as well the thing. He loved the money because he wanted more, and then he didn't keep it and build on it, but he lost it all. Verse 16. All the wealth that God has taken away from our Father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do it. Okay, so he is just saying that all of that actually belonged, it is a husband who got it because God was blessing him, therefore his father got it. So it all ultimately belonged to them. So yes, this is what your wages were. This is all right, Jacob. This is what you agreed upon. This is now therefore yours. God gave it to you, not him anymore. He squandered everything. So let's go. In other words, what God told you, let's do it.